Welcome to Straight from the Horse's Mouth radio show. I'm Paula Slater, your host. This is an interview-based podcast where I have conversations with the most creative and interesting people in the horse world. All right, today I have a very special guest, and we're going to take a different venue. We're going to interview Donas the horse from Outlander through his interpreter, Sue Strickler. And we're going to, Sue and Donas are on the set in Scotland, and we're going to be asking them some questions about what it's like to be a horse in a movie. All right. So, hello, Sue and Donas.
Hi, Paula. How are you?
And how is Donas today?
He's pretty good. He's usually a pretty crotchety horse, but today he hasn't bit me yet, so it's a good day.
Okay. Is he in character when he's doing the biting? I thought he was a Friesan and a pretty nice guy.
He is. He goes back and forth. You know, there are method actors. Well, I think sometimes he's a method Friesan. I think he needs to get into character sometimes and act the way that his book character does. And I don't know. I think he's grappling with his first acting role.
Mm-hmm. And so, is he Scottish himself? Did he come from Scotland? Or?
He is. He is originally from Scotland.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess they were looking for well-trained horses for this movie. And in the book, of course, Donas is a sorrel, so a Friesan is a better choice because they're so beautiful.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They have a great temperament in most cases. Also, the script that was written for Outlander, the two main characters, Jamie and Kate, they do a lot of double riding in the first few episodes. So they had to have a horse that was large enough to carry both of them comfortably, but also they had a hard time finding a sorrel horse that would make this happen, because evidently there's not a whole lot of sorrel horses in Scotland. So they decided to go with a horse that would make a horse that would be more comfortable carrying two people instead of forcing a horse that shouldn't be carrying two people to carry two people. So they went with the Friesan. They're beautiful to look at. They're able to carry a double riders, I should say. So it seems to be working out pretty well so far. No one's gotten bit or thrown.
Now, how big exactly is Donas?
Donas is about 16'3".
Ah, mm-hmm. And so he is big enough to carry two riders. So in order to prepare for the scenes, what does Donas have to do?
Well, we usually get the script ahead of time, so Donas knows exactly what's going to happen, because as you know, most horses, they want to know what's going to happen ahead of time. Because if you throw in that white paper bag, you never know what you're going to get. So he needs to be groomed and tacked up, depending on what is going on that day. He needs to know what riders he's going to be dealing with. He needs to know when he's going to get his breaks, when he's going to eat, when he's going to get his water, and he has his own trailer.
Oh, wow.
As most actors do. He that's in his contract. He needs his own trailer.
Mm-hmm. And now, does he have any special grooms that work with him?
He has a couple of grooms. He has people that feed him, people that groom him. He's got tacksmans. He's got handlers. He's got some people that are nearby for behavioral therapy in case he gets a little uppity. So yes, he at times can be a very high maintenance horse.
Mm. So let's go through a shooting day for him, and what would that day look like?
Well, usually the actors get on set around 5 o'clock in the morning for them to get dressed by the costume department. And just like the actors, Donas has to be on set early. He needs to get fed early so that he's properly ready for when any action comes. So he gets fed, he gets watered, he gets groomed, He gets tacked up with whatever tack they need for the day, and then he's delivered on set. And hopefully there's not a whole lot of standing around, because we all know horses don't like to stand around a whole lot, and he's one of them. He wants to get going. He wants to get his working day done and get back. So that's usually an average working day. There's a lot of stops and starts with filming, so he's had to learn to kind of curb his temper and try not to be such a diva. Mm-hmm. But he's getting better at it.
Mm-hmm. So what does he do when he is he put in a paddock, or what does he do when he's waiting?
Yeah, we usually bring this large round pen, and when he's not being used, we usually throw him in there. He can get a little bit of his energy out in there safely, and not when the actors are around him. So he has kind of like a decompression area.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But I want to back up and go to the beginning of actually when he arrives on the set. Now, I assume that he's not living on the set. They have to travel to the set. Is that correct?
Yeah, just like any other actor, they have their home space, and then they go to wherever the filming is that day. A lot of this is filmed in Scotland at certain locations throughout the country, which is beautiful. And if you ever get a chance to watch Outlander, that is one of the actors itself is Scotland, because it's just so beautiful, so green and beautiful and mountainous. And so it takes time. It takes time to get there. A lot of the roads in Scotland are only one road going both ways, so it takes some time to get to locations. Then you have to find parking, ample spots to get him ready, to put up the round pen. Mm-hmm. It takes some time. Mm-hmm. And then there's the weather. If you've ever been to Scotland, it rains a lot. And if it's not raining, it's muddy because it just rained.
Yes, so they'd still film in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, I've seen some scenes where it's been raining, that's for sure. And so they continued to film. Now, let's go back to the grooming. I just wondered, listeners, of course, are always interested in products that are being used on Starz, and it's always of interest to people about what they use. So let's say for mane and tail care, favorite brushes, or does he mind being groomed? I can't imagine he wouldn't if he's a diva.
Yes, exactly. He likes being groomed, except under his stomach. He doesn't like that. He's very sensitive. So you can curry him fine. Usually no problem. It's just you got to make sure your back's not turned to his mouth when you're currying under his stomach, because he's one to reach around and snap at you, especially if your butt's turned to him. He'll get you. And I speak from experience because I've had it done. But yeah, currying, the normal, starting with your hard brushes, working to your soft brushes. He loves to be rubbed down. He loves getting his mane and tail done. I use a lot of show sheen on him. We use the mane and tail product. He loves that shampoo. He loves how it smells. He's not a big fan of the hoof black. He does not he likes the natural look of the hoofs. So don't put hoof black on him because he'll throw a fit.
Well, I would think that, again, in Scotland, if it's raining, and I don't think that it would last long.
It wouldn't. He says it's useless, right? You said, yeah, he just nodded. He said it was useless.
Yes. And we noticed, at least I noticed in the film, that the tails of every horse in that movie are absolutely beautifully done, beautifully combed, and it's just a joy to watch them.
The horses are supplied by Steve Dent. He's a well-known animal supplier, horse, like a livestock supplier in the UK. He's done a lot of different productions like Gladiator. He's done James Bond movies. He's done, I'm trying to think. If you go to his website, stevedent.com, you'll see quite a large listing of all the productions he's done. What's also interesting is if you go to his website, you can go to one of the tabs and you can see the different types of not only animals he has, horses, donkeys, mules, cows, whatever, but he also has something where you can look at all the different tack that he uses. So he's got carriages, he's got different types of saddles, and you'll notice that during part of the filming in Outlander, both the character Claire and Jamie are riding together, and I get a lot of questions as to whether it's like a double saddle. Is there like a two-seated saddle? Well, it turns out that when they film, they have a saddle that doesn't have the upper part. It's almost like an English saddle, but it's flat in the front, so that two people can ride comfortably, and it's also comfortable for the horse. But if you go there, you can see the different types of saddles, and they usually drape something over the front to just make it a little bit more comfortable for the actors. But you can also see all the bridles and the bits, and it's just quite interesting to see what they have ready for any production anything that a production might need. Also, some people have asked me about the bridle that Kate's horse, Katrona Balfe is her name. She plays Claire. Her horse is called Brimstone and has this very intricate bridle headstall that was handmade just for her horse, just for Outlander, and it's quite beautiful. So if you get a chance to watch it, look for the halter. Look for the bridle.
Sue, can you I just want to make sure we've got, well, this will be in the show notes, but I just want to back up and make sure we've got the correct spelling. It's Steve Dent. Is it D-E-N-T?
Right.
.com?
S-T-E-V-E and Dent, D-E-N-T.
Right. .com. So if we go there, we'll be able to see the bridle there, or will that be on a different site?
The bridle you'll be able to see on Outlander, in Outlander.com.
Okay. Oh, great. Super. So getting back to getting prepared for filming, now the saddles, they're historically correct, I assume?
They are. Everything in the production of Outlander is historically correct, from the costumes that the people wear on down to the types of tack that would be available to riders at that time. You won't see any, at least to this date, you haven't seen any side saddle for the ladies. Right now we're just seeing Claire riding astride like the men do. But yes, everything is historically accurate, from the types of dogs they have to the types of food they eat, the types of dresses that were available, and of course the kilts that the men wear. It's quite fascinating.
Yes, it is. That's something I don't know much about, the sort of the history of riding for women, and the side saddle. I know that was used in the 1800s and so on, but before that, women would ride in a skirt, or how did that work?
The men tend to wear their kilts when they ride, but they can also wear something called a breek, B-R-E-E-K. It's just kind of like the kind of pants that we wear today. Women didn't traditionally wear breeks. Later on in the series, some characters that are female will be using them, and it causes quite a stir, because the thing is that even though the ladies' dresses are very low and show a lot of skin in the top area, for some reason it was a travesty for a woman to be seen in pants. So what we are seeing right now is we're seeing the main character, Claire. We're seeing her ride in her dress. And she's covered. I mean, she's not exposing anything. She's showing some leg, but she's riding with Jamie, double. At this point, there will be more that's happening later that I can't talk about because it hasn't shown yet. Only the first 8 episodes have shown so far. We're on a break, and the next 8 episodes will start on April 4th of this coming year.
Okay, so a woman would just basically sit astride a horse, and her dress would just come up wherever, correct? Or
yeah, I think you would probably see both. You might, in Scotland, you might not see as much side saddle as you would, because the women also did wear kilts. It's a different type of kilt. But there are ways, obviously, that you can sit astride a horse, and with all the material, I think there's like 12 yards of material used for a kilt, plenty of covering for a lady if she was going to ride astride.
And that brings us to the men, too, because, again, we're not used to seeing men riding in kilts. And,
right.
And, again, they basically have the same problem as the women.
They do. A true Scotsman doesn't wear anything under his kilt. Yuck. So they have to be careful of that. And there have been times when a little too much is shown, and they've had to do retakes. So that's one thing that they have to get used to at first. The actors, they have to learn how to move in their costume, whether it be pants or a jacket or a kilt in this case. Now there's different types of kilts. In this case, they wear the great kilt, which has, I believe it's somewhere between 12 and 15 yards of material. If you can imagine that, how many yards that is while you're riding a horse and then trying to get off it, it's quite interesting. But they make it work. They make it look easy.
Yes. So they would have to practice that.
Exactly. And the whole cast went through a boot camp where they learned how to not only ride, but they learned how to fight, how to handle swords, how to shoot guns, and all of these props were historically accurate. Mm-hmm. So they've gone, as I said before, they've gone to great lengths to make sure that this is historically accurate, and it's a beautiful production.
Mm-hmm. How many of the actors actually really ride?
Actually, everyone that you see at this point has ridden quite a bit. They, like I said, they did the boot camp. They do a lot of takes. Now they do have extras that will take their position when it's a far away shot. That way, the actual actors don't have to be there. It's called second unit shooting, so that they can shoot a far away scene without having to bring all of the major players in. They can shoot the extras right then and there, and it's much easier. So they do have doubles. Donas doesn't have a double, so he had to be there. So.
Oh, yes. No, I wouldn't want him to have a double. My goodness gracious, no.
He would be very upset by that. Mm-hmm. Because nobody can play Donas except Donas.
Exactly. So how does he feel about the saddles that are being used in the movie? Are they comfortable?
He hasn't griped about that. I mean, he's griped about a few things, but he hasn't griped about that. He was a little bit, he was a little bit antsy about having two people on him for a whole lot of time, but he got used to it. He got over it. He can be a professional.
And now, I can't remember, I haven't seen Outlander for a bit, but do they have saddle pads?
Yeah, they tend to use the sheepskin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, because that's my favorite saddle pad, and that's got to be the most comfortable.
Yes.
And what about the bits? Are they comfortable?
Yeah, he uses a traditional snaffle bit. I don't know if it was called a snaffle back then. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it was historically accurate because they looked into everything.
Yes.
They had leather workers come in and measure each of the horses to make sure that everything fit fine. They used the right bit for the right horse. They didn't force a horse to use a historically accurate bit if it didn't work. So they took great pains to make sure that not only the actors were comfortable, but also all of the animals involved.
Now, are there any rules as far as the length of time that Donas has to be working for any period of time? There's protection rules.
Right.
How children can only act for a certain length of time, or their parents have to be there.
Right. I know that a lot of the time the actors worked longer days. So they would traditionally work a 5-day work week 1 week, and then they would have the weekend off, and then they would work a 6-day work week and then have 1 day off. So that's kind of the pattern they had. As far as the individual work day, it depended on what was happening with the shooting. Where was the shooting? How fast was the correct take shot? Did they have to do a lot of retakes? Were there mistakes? Were there flubs? Did a horse trip? Did the actor flub a line? So it depended. I would say that it was never too much of an arduous task. They were able to do what they needed to do and not tax anybody too much.
Mm-hmm. And so then in between takes, I gathered Donas is given thorough going over and cleaned up.
Yep. A lot of mud. A lot of rags are used.
Yeah.
The good thing is that a lot of them don't have weight feet. There are a couple that do. And, you have to make sure that they look fresh, and there's some baby powder being used and a lot of cleaning, especially on muddy days. So a lot of rags are used.
Yeah. So does Donas mind getting muddy Or is that, I don't know if that's part of the Friesan personality, always looking good. That's the feeling that we get when you see a Friesan. You think, oh my goodness, there's got to be 20 mirrors around to make sure that their mane is perfect. Well, nobody's got a mane like a Friesan.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
I think, Paula, you'd find that Donas does what he wants to do when he does it. And even though he's been very good on set, if there is mud to be found, that horse will find it and he will roll.
So he's not into looking perfect all the time.
He's not into it.
He's a natural boy, right?
He's a natural boy, but you know what? I think sometimes he does it by spite because he knows how much work it'll make for other people. So there's that spite thing going on too. Because his name does mean demon, you know.
And he tries to get into the role.
He does.
So what about, does he have to have a total sort of groom over, especially with the mane and the tail?
Yeah, he's fussy. He's fussy about his mane. His tail he can't see as well, and he can't really see his mane, but he's very fussy. You know how some guys are. They have they're like metrosexual. I wouldn't say that Donas is metrosexual, but he's fussy about certain things. His mane has to look good. His forelock has to look good.
Now, how does he feel about the actors? Does he like Jamie?
He loves Jamie. He loves Jamie. He loves Jamie a lot. There's only a couple of people that understand Jamie. There's old Alec, who's at the castle, who is the horseman, the master of horse. He kind of lets him handle him a bit. He lets Jamie handle him. He knows a horse person. Now, if that little boy named, I think his name is Wee Hamish. I think his name is Hamish, but he calls him Wee Hamish because he's like 3 feet tall. If that boy tries to come near him, he'd have a fit. Like he doesn't want fools near him. He suffers no fools. He wants horsemen near him because he knows he can just kick somebody. He doesn't really want to hurt somebody, but he doesn't want to suffer fools.
And how does he feel about the other actor horses?
About the other horses? Well, he said in the past that he knows that he's the star of the horses. So he kind of expects, he expects more treats. He loves He loves stud muffins. I don't know. Do you have stud muffins in Canada?
I've heard of them. Yeah, I think so.
There have actually been some fans of the show that have sent the main character, the actor that plays Jamie, his name is Sam Hewen, that have actually sent him stud muffins just for the horse, just for Donas.
Now, Donas, is he a stallion or is he gelded?
There are actually 2 horses that I've been told. There's another one that's coming that is a stallion. His true name is Pinocchio, and as of this point, the main character stunt double rides him. The other horse that is Donas is played by Sleepy, and that is Sam Hewen's horse. That he's not like a schoolmaster, but he's a horse that's been used a lot in
different
TV
films.
Yeah.
So because I would be thinking that it would be it's not really important to a film, that I think that unless the certain characteristics of a stallion are sort of shown,
right.
I don't think it's necessary, and I can't imagine a stallion on a set, really.
I know. I think we'll see when we come back to the second part of season 1. I think we're going to see that stallion more. I believe that we're going to see it more, not only because there's a lot of open scenes of going to somebody's, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a point where the 2 main characters travel. And those 2 main characters are riding to another place. And in that instance, that's when they're going to use the stallion. There's no mares around, a lot less prancing and activity and snorting and whinnying would be obviously occurring when you have males and females together. So that's when they're going to use the stallion Donas. Plus, when the actor gets a little bit more secure with his seat, that's when we're going to see him possibly on the on the stallion itself and not just his stunt double.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're coming to the end here, and I just wanted to make sure that we have all the contact points or URLs for finding out more information about Donas and Outlander.
Yes, you can go to the Starz, that's STARZ.com, and you can look at Outlander, outlander.com, and you can always Google Outlander. There's a couple of things online about Donas himself. Donas and I wrote a short article for Horse Nation back in August, so a little bit more about Donas himself, and that's available on horsenation.com. I think that's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. And just, it would be nice to, actually, I hope that the company would have more information about the horses, because people just love Outlander, and, you know, any kind of information at all that they can get. There's lots about the actors, but boy, it would certainly be fun to have more information about the horses and and all the animals, but mostly the horses, because they are so beautiful.
Yes, I actually think that's an excellent recommendation. I might very well approach them about that, because you know, Donas and I have a Twitter page. It's at Donas the Horse, and believe it or not, he has 6,600 followers. A lot of that is because the main actor that plays Jamie, his name is Sam Hewen, as I said before, has had some interaction with Donas, and I think that's probably the main reason why he has so many followers. It's because of Sam, but also because Donas is somewhat entertaining, which is the reason why we're here today, too.
Right, and Donas is a star in his own right.
He is.
And handsome as heck, and who could not want to interact with him?
Exactly. He would, if he's shaking his head, exactly.
Yes, pictures and information and even a daily update would be great. We'd love it.
You could even do a Christmas card, a Donas Christmas card.
Oh, you could do all sorts of things.
You could.
It's just a wealth of possibilities, that's for sure.
It is.
All right. Well, Sue, thank you so much, and Donas, thank you so much for the interview.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. And Donas is actually being nice and is saying, thank you, Paula.
Does he flip his mane a little bit?
He did. He has that arrogant attitude again, but he's like, yeah, thank you. And now he's saying, what's next? So.
Okay, well, we'll say goodbye then.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed my interview today with Sue Strickler and Donas, the horse actor in the wildly popular Outlander series, a series of books written by Diana Gabaldon. And the interview was recorded in the fall, so some of the dates are a little out, but it doesn't matter. The series has already started. It started on April 4th, and we're following it madly. If you haven't got time to read Diana's books, of course you can get them from horsemouthbook.com. You can get a free audiobook download, a 30-day free trial. And they have, if you don't like that book, you can get, there are 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, or MP3 player. I want to thank you for some wonderful reviews in iTunes and on Stitcher. And this is Paula Slater signing off for Straight from the Horse's Mouth radio show. And if you know of someone who is a very creative and unique person in the horse world, please leave that information on the website, straightfromthehorse'smouthradioShow.com. Thank you. It's Paula signing off. We'll see you next week. Bye.